Let's bring in James Comer of the House Oversight and Accountability Committee. He is the chairman. He joins us right now live via Skype. Hey, Congressman, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Well, the problem with what Alvin Bragg did yesterday, and 34-count indictment of filing false business records, it qualifies if it's as a felony if there's a second crime. He doesn't say what the second crime is.
He's busy.
And essentially, to most of the country right now, Congressman, it looks like this particular indictment is just a hit job, a political hit job.
It's a political scam. I've said that for weeks now. If filing false business documents is as serious as the media and the prosecutors are claiming over the past 24 hours, then they better have a seat and about a pallet of Kentucky bourbon when they see what all the Biden family has done over the past decade. I mean, it's ridiculous. Every day we find another LLC affiliated with the Bidens that they were using to launder money from our adversaries around the world. And I am not exaggerating about that. I mean, the fact that I'm sitting here watching what all happened to Donald Trump yesterday, knowing what all the Bidens have been engaged in and the shenanigans and the bank violations that we're privy to right now at the Treasury cabinet, where the banks pointed out all of the potential money laundering, and the banks couldn't explain all the different transfers and all the different LLCs that this family had to try to basically launder money from our adversaries. It's just breathtaking. So I hope the media is as serious about the evidence that we'll continue to be bringing forward about the Biden family as they have been about this ridiculous political stunt that happened in New York yesterday with Donald Trump.
I wonder how this will affect the next election, because you're watching those images of his motorcade driving down the FDR yesterday. We're watching images of him in a courtroom. We never thought that would ever happen. It's never happened before. And then Kevin McCarthy is saying he's going to hold Alvin Bragg accountable. He tweeted this out. Alvin Bragg is attempting to interfere in our democratic process by invoking federal law to bring politicized charges against President Trump, admittingly using federal funds while at the same time arguing that the people's representatives in Congress lack jurisdiction to investigate this farce. Not so. Bragg's weaponization of the federal justice process will be held accountable by Congress. How do you plan to do that?
Well, we're going to be having a call with McCarthy later this week, Jim Jordan and myself, and we're going to try to figure out a path moving forward. This is very serious. Alvin Bragg doesn't even know where his funding comes from, but he gets federal funding. And that's where it falls into the jurisdiction of the House Oversight Committee. The weaponization of his office is how it falls into both the Judiciary Committee and the Select Committee on the weaponization of the Department of Justice. So we're not going to stop on this. Nothing changed. We believe that he's overstepped. And I'll tell you one of the things that I don't think's been picked up a lot that's going to be a problem. And I had two calls yesterday, one from a county attorney in Kentucky and one from a county attorney in Tennessee. They were Republican, obviously. Both states are heavily Republican. They want to know if there are ways they can go after the Bidens now. And they've opened up a can of worms. They've set precedents now that we can't go back on. And now we're going to see a judicial system that's already bogged down with doing what they're supposed to do, and that's going after real criminals, people that are committing real crimes, burglaries, rape, robberies, things like that. And now you're going to start seeing ambitious political people like Alvin Bragg try to make a name for themselves and go after big pie-in-the-sky federal cases.
Okay, right.
And it's just not a good path that we need to go forward on in our judiciary.
Congressman, yesterday you talked to President Biden's former executive assistant with links to Hunter about how those documents got into the Penn Center and others. You know, who was picking up stuff and who wasn't. What did you find out?
Well, I appreciate Ms. Chung for coming forward and answering all of our questions for 4 hours during a transcribed interview. What we learned was that these documents were transported from the vice presidency, from his office to the private sector, in private cars. They went to at least 3 different locations initially. One of which was in Chinatown, the other of which was in the Penn Biden Center, which we're finding more and more evidence that it was almost exclusively funded by China, and there was no lock on the door. All the things that that the special prosecutors apparently going to try to indict Trump on mishandling classified documents, Biden did, and he did it about 10 times worse. So, this was very valuable information we learned yesterday. We still don't know what those classified documents were, and we're still concerned about one document in particular that was found on the laptop that Hunter Biden had sent to his cronies on Burisma in Ukraine. So this is another story that's not going away.
What can you tell us about that?
What can you tell us about that document?
Well, we know, and we've heard Ted Cruz talk about, there's one particular email from Hunter Biden that he sent to his people at Burisma. Burisma was the corrupt Ukrainian energy company that he was getting paid an excessive salary for. That was a government document. It was written like a government document. It could very well have been a classified document, but we don't know yet exactly how he obtained that document.
Keep us posted. Congressman, thank you very much for joining us live.
Thanks for having me.
Remember what they...
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.